course back in those days, 2.4 Ks I think it was around, and
Yep.
the straights were like a kilometre long, and yesterday they're like 500 long, a bit longer today. But having said that, in the 1.6 Bish was a fun, and that last race over with young Oscar was awesome. I was really sitting there grinning and laughing and just having fun in that last race. It was what boat racing's like. Boat sat well and it was enjoyable.
I tell you what, that little boat of Oscar's, that's a really good hull, isn't it? It seems to sit right up and dance on its sponsons and does all the things that your boat does, really, and it's quite quick. So he's landed on his feet there, but he's also driving it really well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's doing a great job, and he came over to me and we had didn't have a hug, but we had a bit of a laugh, and we spoke about how it was a good race, and he was pushing me absolutely, and we've been racing for a long time, and I've had a lot of good people around me to give me good product, and he's only a young kid and he's flying, so give him another 5 years or so, and he'll be number one in the class, I'm sure. But Brad Holland might have something to say with that, and there's a couple other guys in the class, and the 1.6 class is looking up. I just wish there's a few more hulls available here in Australia, because as most people probably know by now, we sold our second boat maybe a couple of months ago, and then since then a few people said, "Oh, Grant, I'd like to buy your boat," and I said, "Too late, too slow, too bad."
Yep.
They'd like to. Where can we buy another 1.6 hydro? And problem is, there's nothing out there, Bish.
Yeah, and you had one that ended up going back to America. There's no one to buy it, didn't you? So it's silly, isn't it?
Yeah, and I regret doing that, but at the time there was no one prepared to spend, let's say, 50 grand on a boat, and nowadays they're going 50 grand's cheap. Well, price really hasn't changed that much. I think they've realised that to run a class like this now, that's the sort of money you've got to be prepared to spend. And, we're running 95 mile an hour out there and doing it very safely and reliable.
And that's the thing, mate. If you said to a car guy that you can have a competitive car for 50 grand, they'd all go, that's the cheapest form of racing you'll ever do in your life, wouldn't they? It's nothing money really to be in a late model, current, competitive, nice bit of gear.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, Bish, have been thinking back to the 80s when you could buy these little Formula Fords, come 1.6 Toyota motors for $500 and an old timber, Donzi hull or something for a few grand, and they'd go racing for 5,000. And that's how the class did start out, and it was absolutely right. But remember, that was 1985, right?
Yeah, you could buy a house in 85 for about 90 grand, Things have moved on.
Yeah, exactly. And today's 2025, and unfortunately you've got to spend money, but, we're also most people are probably earning a bit more money today than they were back then. But, not everyone can afford the class, and I get it, and that's why it's great to have 25 horsepowers and other classes as well. And some people like displacements, some are hydroplanes, some guys like outboards. It's horses for courses, and I just love hydroplaning.
Yeah, and you're pretty good at it too, mate, I have to say. Now, we need to be quick because we've got our juniors that's lining up, but just quickly, GP1, obviously Griffith Cup coming up. Plenty of competition, it sounds like, this year as well. You guys pretty focused on getting the boat ready for that?
Oh, absolutely. We're really disappointed that we're not here today. The Griffith Cup was over 6 months ago, and we still can't put a boat back on the water in 6 months, and that to me is embarrassing. Unfortunately, I've issues with propellers. We are at the extreme end of the sport, pushing out a fair bit of horsepower, and things do fail. And to not be able to fix a boat in 6 months, in other motorsports, in IndyCar, NASCAR, Supercar, they'd all say, "Mate, you can't fix a boat in 6 months. What's wrong? You're an amateur." And I guess we are. But we're getting close, Bish, and we want to be running by the 1st of March. That's our plan. We need to race before the Griffith Cup. And problem is, a lot of guys just turn up for a Griffith Cup and think they can race, and then they wonder why they fail. But I'm out of here.
Hey, thanks a lot, Harry. Thanks for the chat, mate. We've got our juniors on the water, and we've got Williamson in the Spitfire is about to hit the clock, and he's hit the clock at about 10 seconds late. So not a bad start, but not the best start I've ever seen in my life. But here we go, mate. So the next boat through is Chase and Dad. Then we've got Scarlett Gilligan she's epic. Then it's Candice Rainbow. Then on the far side's my man, Levi Whitten. And then Riley Bride in the Phat Chance coming through. So this handicap race, Riley goes through about 30-second mark. So she would have been handicapped around about 30 seconds if she was on the money. So she's got some work to do to try and catch up. So the Spitfire is the lead boat at the moment, mate. And doing a very, very nice job.
Yep, Jack Williamson got a good little lead at the moment. Bisho's, again, they're using the short course for the juniors this weekend, so you'll notice them going around the short course. But Yeah, he's Jack Williamson in the Spitfire, of course under handicap conditions where their race times have been taken from previous events and put out there and asked them to start on the money on the time clock.
Yeah, the Chase and Dad is the boat having to do all the hard work to try and catch up here at the moment, mate. So Chase and Dad is Emerson Walker. Then you got Gilligan back to Witten and then Bride after that. So there's a fair bit going on there with Scarlett Gilligan just being overhauled there by Levi Witten as he goes up the inside, and then Riley Bride, she's sort of starting to close the field up as well. So Riley's probably the class of this field as she pushes along, and there's also Candice Rainbow as well running in third spot too, mate. So they're starting to bunch up, so it's going to be interesting to see where this one ends up at the very end.
2 laps to go, the green flag's still out, so still a little bit of bunching up still sure to come through, but
so it's Jack Williams.
Still the Spitfire in front, yeah mate, still holding a pretty good little lead at the moment.
Yeah, Jack Williamson's got a fair gap there. Then it's back to Chase and Dad with Emerson Walker. Candice Rainbow is doing a nice job in third and making a little bit of ground, but making ground on her is Levi Witten. Then you got the hard charging Riley Bride. She's shuffled Scarlett Gilligan back to the back of the field, but
looks like Candice is looking up the inside here in the little fairs. Oh, nice little push. Yes. Nice overtake up the inside.
Wow.
Had just enough boat width to get through. A lovely manoeuvre there by Candice Rainbow in the little fairs.
That was a great move, wasn't it? As she,
and in fact, it's a double overtake, Bisho.
It was, mate. She got 2 of them done. So Candice Rainbow goes from third up to second and gets the job done nicely. Williamson's got 1 lap to go now as he picks up the yellow flag. So it's Candice now, Rainbow, who's the hard charger. I thought Riley Bride. Riley Bride starts to make a little bit of a move on Emerson Walker there as they come up into the top turn. She tries to poke her nose up the inside, but probably just has to back out a little bit. She gets it done now as Emerson runs the wide line. Probably a wise move. Now we got Levi Witten trying to make a move here on Candice Rainbow. So this is the last lap for these two. This is probably the battle of the race at the moment because I think Williamson's going to be very hard to catch from where he is at the moment.
He's got a very, very good lead indeed, but it's Scarlett Gilligan, Candice there. She's on the inside. Pretty close indeed. Bisho might be a move up the back straight, I think, for second and third positions.
Levi Witten is menacing and really looking to try and get past Candice here, so it's going to be a good battle between these two, a good fight. As they go up the back straight away, Candice isn't having any of this, and Levi doesn't make any ground. He made a little bit in the corner, but he's not making any in the straights. Jack Williamson now in the Spitfire comes down. Beautifully turned out boat too, this one, PC. I don't know if you've had a look at it.
Yeah, no,
job on it.
absolutely. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Beautiful. And it is going to be Jack Williamson takes the win on handicap, so great job there from him. Levi Witten charging hard at Candice Rainbow. It's a drag race line. Can Candice hold him off? He's coming at her. Candice, it's Levi. I'm not going to call it.
Photo finish.
Photo finish. The second. Rolling Bride into fourth place.
Nothing in it. I'll just see you at control tower and I'll be looking at the timing monitors.
Well,
couldn't separate them.
It's hard to tell because, and we've got Chase and Dad coming through, Emerson Walker, and then Scarlett Gilligan getting the job done. But I think young Levi had the momentum. I think he might have just poked his nose, but hey, I'm leaving that to the judges. I'm not calling that at all. Give it to them both, I reckon.
Absolutely. Deserve it. Good race by both.
Hey, good handicapping too.